Hey guys, so I'm coming on here, no script at all, don't even know what I'm going to say. I do want to share that I recently watched Dr. Gabor Mate's documentary called The Wisdom of Trauma. If you have not seen it, it is absolutely captivating and really lends a view as to what is wrong with the world. I, for myself, have been on a deep, deep healing journey. I have been deep in actually healing childhood and ancestral trauma, which is actually very much related to Gabor Mate's documentary. And for those of you guys who are experiencing dis-ease or, some unresolved stuff that is happening inside of you, I would highly recommend that you watch that because it will actually create space for you to understand why you're feeling what you're feeling. I, for myself, have been, again, on a deep transformative journey in the last 6 months. I've spent the last actually 3.5 years in Bali, just chipping away at whatever stuff has been happening inside of me. And earlier this year in 2021, I recently made a decision to move back to the Bay Area, which is the home that I grew up in, really close to family. And this is where a lot of my deeper trauma started to surface to the top. Excuse me. And you would think that, that all of the work that I did in Bali would have already cleared a lot of that stuff. Well, I really believe that, the journey of healing is not necessarily about just clearing the energy. It's also about learning the tools on how to heal yourself. It's quite interesting because I think at the root of our unconscious patterns that are still the driving force behind our decision making, our beliefs today, our thoughts and our emotions, they are oftentimes rooted in the way that we grew up, in our upbringing and the way that we were parented. And, as a 2, 3, 4-year-old, we are oftentimes not really given tools to be able to manage, understand, and process our emotions and life experiences. And so you can imagine that a 2 or 3 or 4-year-old is essentially finding their own limited ways to cope with, with wanting to feel desired or wanting to feel love from their parents. And look, guys, not here to blame our parents anymore because guess what? They tried their best. Oftentimes, a lot of the way that we were parented stems from the way that our parents were parented unconsciously. And so we're just running, our entire society is just running on all of these unconscious traumas that are running in the background. And, to me, the real goal is to be able to build enough self-awareness and willingness and openness to start healing, start the healing process. And so that's what I've done in the last 6 months as I've had all of these triggers come up for me related to family, and triggers are the most powerful way for us to know what wounds are still sitting inside of us. And, I came face to face with some hard truths and some hard facts about myself. And instead of shaming myself for feeling certain ways like I've always done in the past, I've really dug deep and tried to understand why I'm feeling feeling in all the ways that I was feeling. I really learned a lot about the whole idea of reparenting, that there are these younger aspects of us that are still wounded from childhood and are needing to feel validated and feel the love that they they have been craving for since we were young. And when we try to look or source that love from outside of us, it's not sustainable. And so the work that I have been doing in the last 6 months has really been cradling that little girl inside of me and validating her feelings, because I think oftentimes, you know, even with the best of intentions, we learn that to deny our own emotions and our own experiences. It's like, you know, it's our parents will say like, don't cry, or, you know, or like, you know, it's like we just are left feeling like we don't deserve to feel the way that we feel. And so part of the work is to validate these experiences that these younger aspects of yourself are still experiencing to this day, and just allow that emotion, all of these experiences and emotions, to come to the surface so that they can fully heal, and we can finally let them go. And so as I've cradled my own inner child, over time I've started to feel more and more myself. I've started to trust myself more, and not to shame myself when I'm feeling a certain way, just cradling those emotions and saying, okay, you're here and I can feel you, and I'm just going to let you go, and I'm just going to sit here with you, right? It's kind of like, what would you say to a 4-year-old if she was to say, I'm scared or I'm sad, right? We wouldn't say like, oh, that's so silly, don't be sad or don't be scared. Well, yeah, that is what you would do if you were a parent. But, you know, it's so important for us to validate people's experiences, because they are happening, you know, no matter how much we think it's ridiculous, they are happening. And so how can we start to really honor these emotions that are just simply energy in motion? They're not meant for us to disassociate from or distract ourselves from. They're meant to just come and go. And so, having said all of this, I just want to say that more and more I'm feeling really inspired to show up for people. And so I've developed a coaching program that I am now going to be making available to anyone out there who wants support, because this is what the world is needing right now. We are going to work with your nervous system to create a new default setting, because oftentimes what happens is that we get into a perpetual state of being inside of fight, flight, or freeze response, and that becomes our daily reality. And so with evidence-based tools, I will guide you into creating a new default setting. And part of the work that we're going to do is really start to look at unresolved past experiences and start to understand them and start to release them and finally find freedom. And then finally, using principles of neuroscience and positive psychology, there are ways, powerful ways, that we can rewire our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. And so all of this is obviously, you know, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but what I have done is created my own signature toolbox of the things that have worked for me, some things that have worked partially that I've basically, you know, put in my own flavor and just like created a 3-month self-mastery program. And so if you are needing support, if there is a lot of disease in you and you don't know what's going on, and you need someone who is going to hold that space for you to understand what these experiences are about and start to reprogram yourself subconsciously so that you can experience life in a more fulfilling way. You deserve that. This is our birthright. And after watching The Wisdom of Trauma, I've just felt so much more inspired to show up for people, because there is unnecessary suffering that's happening in our world right now, and it would just be a shame if I don't come out there and, you know, and support all of you humans that are needing support. So Please reach out to me if you feel inspired or feel motivated. I'm working on my website right now, www.espiritu.com. And I'm almost there in terms of finishing it. It's about 90% there, but you can see a little bit more about the program that I have built. And if you feel inspired, please reach out to me. There is a contact section there. I just want to let you guys know that you are not alone. There are answers to your unresolved questions. And if it's not me, please find a coach or a therapist or someone that can help guide you through these experiences. Please know you're not alone, and that I promise you, you can resolve it. You are an empowered human being. And with just a little bit of help and guidance, you can live the life that you so desire. Love and light, guys, from my heart to yours.